What's up, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're talking calories, specifically how many calories you should be eating on the daily. Now the reason I want to talk about this is because recently I have been having a lot of fun with the Instagram stories feature where I ask you to ask me questions. I really like that feature. And a common theme that I've noticed is I've been getting a lot of questions along the lines of, how many calories should I be eating? Is this going to change over time with my diet? Do I even have to track calories to get results long term? All sorts of questions. Okay, so the plan for today's video is to take you through a day in the life where I show you what I eat, how I exercise, what I generally do throughout the day, and how this affects my unique energy needs, as well as more broadly how like everyday activities will affect your unique energy needs. Okay, so if you're excited for this video, make sure you shoot me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And I would also like to say, ooh, we're sweating. I would also like to say a huge thank you to Lifesum for sponsoring this video. If you scroll back through my channel, you will see that one of my first What I Eat in a Day videos, Fairy Hack, was actually partnered with them. But if you didn't see that, then what you need to know is that they're a nutrition-focused app where you can track what you eat, what you drink, your daily activities and exercises and things you do. Pretty much everything we'll be talking about in today's video. The first thing you need to understand is the energy balance equation. Now, if you have been following me for any amount of time, especially my recent videos, I get it. You might be thinking, oh my God, Abby, I don't want to hear about this again. Whereas if you are new, this might be a new concept for you. So what I'm going to do is link the timestamps below. You can breeze on through this, get started with the rest of the video, no big deal. Otherwise, if you are sticking around, this energy balance equation. Okay, on one side, you have energy in. These are calories coming in via food. Whereas on the energy outside, these are the calories that you are burning. Okay, so if you are burning more calories than you are eating, you're going to lose weight. Whereas if you are eating more calories than you are burning, you are going to gain weight. And if the calories that you are eating and the calories that you are burning are roughly equal, you're going to maintain weight. This is what we're focusing on today, the number of calories that your body needs to maintain its current state. So breaking down what we actually have going on here, on the energy inside, like I said, these are calories that you are eating that are coming in via food and drink. Whereas on the energy outside, there's a little bit more going on. Okay, so starting with BMR, this stands for basal metabolic rate. And this describes the number of calories that are required to sustain human life in your body. Naturally, bigger people are going to require more energy and more calories to stay alive, whereas smaller people are going to require less calories and less energy. Moving on to TEF, this stands for the thermic effect of food, and this describes the number of calories that are burned breaking down and digesting what you eat. Now, while I don't believe that there are fat-burning foods in the sense that the fitness industry commonly markets them, I do believe, and it's proven, that different foods with different nutritional breakdowns, are going to require different amounts of energy to actually break down and digest in your body. As for TEA, this stands for the thermic effect of activity. And this describes the number of calories that are burned through any sort of structured physical activity you're doing. And then we have NEAT, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this describes the calories that you burn through unplanned or spontaneous activities throughout the day. Okay, so think of taking your dog for a walk, like fidgeting throughout the day, just kind of getting up, moving around, anything that you do that is not structured, that you would not consider, a formal workout. And so as you can see, your unique energy needs, aka the number of calories that you need to get from food in order to maintain your current state, that's going to depend on how many calories you are burning per day. Throughout this video, you'll see this little bar pop up on screen. I'm going to use that to keep a running count of how many calories I've eaten, as well as how many calories I've burned, so that you can see how all of these things come together and factor into my unique energy requirements as an example.
Okay, hello, my run is done. And I have got like a total stomach cramp right now, not like a period cramp, like a I cannot breathe cramp in my stomach. Anyways, I'm just on my cool down walk now, so I figured it would be a good time to update you on my calories for the day. So according to my watch, I burned 263 calories on that run, and my run clocked in, and I think it was 23:42. So for just under a half hour of exercise, 263 calories. I will update today's total calorie tracking along the bottom of the screen.
What's up, what's up? So, whew, that was a lot of energy. I just got back from my run, and I'm mostly cleaned up aside from this hair situation that appears to be beyond dry shampoo repair at this point. But right now, I am in the midst of preparing meal number 1, as you can probably hear my air fryer doing in the back there. These will be the first calories I'm taking in for the day, so I figured now would be a good time to show you how I track my calories and macros, but also address how what you eat actually affects the calories you burn, right? So the thermic effect of food. So as we go through this meal, I'm gonna throw the nutritional breakdown for each ingredient up on screen. And the reason this matters is because the energy cost, or the amount of energy required to break down and digest your food, that's going to depend on the macronutrient breakdown of that food, aka the amount of protein, carbs, and fats it contains. Now, where I think people go wrong with the thermic effect of food is when they start believing that there are magic foods, foods that could be negative calorie, foods that you can eat unlimited because they are 0 calorie because you burn as many calories digesting them as when you were eating them. I don't know, I heard that about celery as a kid. And while eating does technically speed up your metabolism, like the thermic effect of food is a very real, measured, and documented thing, I think people often overemphasize the significance of this, and they think it burns a lot more calories than it really does. To put this into perspective, let's run the numbers on how many calories would have been burned by eating this meal. Understanding that carbs take 5 to 15% of the calories consumed to burn, protein 20 to 35%, and fats 5 to 15%, we'll assume the high end of this spectrum and apply it to our totals for this meal. That's not a lot of calories burned. And so in the scheme of things, the thermic effect of food, when you compare it to the other elements of the energy balance equation, doesn't really contribute that much towards your total daily energy expenditure.
Alright, there's 200, 300, finish hard, arms up, you won.
Breaking down the wall.
You're breaking something.
What's up, y'all? Just finished my workout, as you can see from this cute little shine we got going on here, but I figured now would be a good time to update you on where we're at calorie-wise for the day, okay? Because if you remember back to that energy balance equation, working out, any form of structured activity, is going to fit into your calories burned through the thermic effect of activity. According to my watch, for this workout, I burned 154 calories. Now, if you don't have an activity tracker, you can easily estimate your calorie burn right in the LifeSum app. Either way, whether you're using an activity tracker or the LifeSum app to estimate how many calories you're burning, something that you will notice is that in general, cardio is going to burn more calories than weightlifting, like in that session, in that moment. Even if you're lifting hard, even if you're like dying during your weightlifting session, cardio is usually going to burn more calories. I think what's important to remember here is that when you're lifting weights, your goal is not calorie burn in that moment. Your goal is to stimulate your muscles so that you can build muscle over time, increase your lean body mass, which will in turn increase your BMR. Remember, larger, more dense humans are going to require more energy to maintain. And so over time, by adding muscle to your body, you're actually going to be able to eat more calories, like just to maintain yourself as a human being. Pretty cool.
So you might be wondering why I'm wearing a rain jacket, and it's because Jeff over here, with his oh so accurate weather forecast, decided that it was supposed to be raining right now. So clearly, this side is the side that Jeff was talking about, but this is the way that I'm walking.
Stay in one spot.
No, they obviously stay in one spot all day, Jeff. It's science. Oh, look at him go! Look at him go! Oh my gosh.
Just got to my mommy's house. There she is at the side of the frame. And we are going to be making
chicken kebabs. That's my sister's dog in the back. Well, it's a very simple recipe I found on Pinterest, which I feel like that is an oxymoron in and of itself because nothing on Pinterest is as easy as it looks. But that's what we're gonna try to make on the barbecue. She's got some leftover like hippie healthy food that I'm super excited to try. And that is the plan for tonight.
It's supposed to have an electric start, but it doesn't seem to work.
The mummy's being very daring. Oh my goodness.
Hang on. We'll get this. We'll get this.
FYI, this is not beer. This is my mom who is upcycling, recycling beer bottles and making her own kombucha. Is that upcycling or is that recycling?
I think it's upcycling, maybe.
It's upcycling.
Yeah.
That's kombucha.
Now that I'm back from my mom's and I'm done crying over my dog, who I was literally only away from for maybe 2-3 hours, I love him a lot. I figured now would be a good time to address some of the questions that I feel like I haven't maybe talked about enough in this video, or that I just want to specifically address because they came up a lot and they're specific, and I want to make sure that if you ask the question, you get your answer. Q&As, they're fun. So first question is, what are your maintenance calories? So at this point, I just got back from my mom's house. I'm obviously filming this Q&A right now, but I'm probably still gonna have something to eat after this. That meal was like filling at the time, but I am so hungry again. So I will update my ending count for calories in and calories out on the screen somewhere down here when I'm editing. Now what you will notice is that I'm gonna guess, based on where we're at, that the calories inside will end up being smaller than the calories outside. I will be in a calorie deficit. Now right now this is in line with my goals because I'm still focused on losing a little bit more body fat, but to give you an idea of how I track my calories on the daily, I don't really believe in setting like super strict, super rigid targets. Of course, if you're using an app to track like Lifesum, which I highly recommend rather than trying to do it by hand, you'll have to put in specific targets, but I don't try to hit these like to the calorie or to the gram. Instead, I just find it more practical to set ranges, so like plus or minus 100 calories. I try to hit my protein target pretty closely, and then I'll allow myself a little bit more leeway with carbs and fats, you know, depending on the recipes or like the meals I'm eating that day. I always make protein a priority, but depending on the food, I might eat more carb, I might eat more fat. It's not a big deal in the scheme of things. And before we move on to the next question, because I know somebody's gonna comment it, why are you still at a deficit? Because honestly, these summer months, Jeff and I have had the weirdest, like absolute strangest travel schedule. I have been nowhere near as consistent as I would have liked to be with hitting my nutrition targets or getting in my scheduled workouts. Like, it's been all over the map. So I'd really like one more solid month of consistently getting my workouts in when they're scheduled, consistently hitting all of my nutrition targets and not feeling like a stress case. So like one more month to see where I can get, and then after that point, I'll probably reevaluate and bring my calories back up to maintenance. Next question is, how should you calculate your maintenance calories? So I love this question because in my time tracking calories and macros, I feel like I've tried every technique out there, and I've come to learn that there are 3 main practical ways of going about this. Okay, so the first would be to keep a food journal. Basically pick a fixed period of time where you're gonna be in your regular routine. You're not like traveling, it's not a holiday, there's nothing crazy going on. And what you want to do at the start of that time period, say a week, weigh yourself. And then over the course of that week, you want to log everything you eat and drink. Okay, I'd recommend, again, just for convenience, probably using something like Lifesum that doesn't require you to like find calories and everything by hand. Track everything you eat and drink across that week. And then at the end of the week, you want to weigh yourself. Okay, now what we're looking for is the average amount of calories you're consuming across the week. So you basically just take all of your entries, you average your daily calorie intake, and then you want to compare how your weight changed across that week. right? So if your weight drastically increased, if your weight drastically decreased, that would be something you'd want to look for. In most people's cases, they'll roughly maintain weight. Maybe you gain like a pound, lose a pound. That's something that I wouldn't really worry about. So assuming you're maintaining weight, the average intake across the week could be used as an estimate of your maintenance calories. The second way of going about this would be kind of similar to what I did in this video, where you track your energy expenditure again across a fixed period of time where you're in your regular routine, like not doing anything super out of the normal for you, right? So you basically track your energy expenditure every day across the week, and then what you do is you take the average of your energy expenditure every day to get what you would estimate as your maintenance calories. Now, I will say about this method, couldn't really recommend it because even the most accurate activity trackers, like I have a pretty good one, they're still not that accurate. So wouldn't 100% recommend that, but it could give you a ballpark estimate of where you should be eating in terms of maintenance. And then the third technique, the one that I recommend, would be to use a calculator. So you can download Lifesum. There's a link in the description box below. It's free to download. You can just plug your numbers in and it'll spit out a maintenance for you. Or you can do a quick Google search like calorie calculator. There's so many calculators out there. Now, some people will argue that using calculators like this is less accurate, which is partially true, but I think you also have to consider just how much more convenient it is. Like, what is the likelihood of you actually keeping a food journal for a week, even more than a week, and then taking the average and remembering to weigh yourself and going through all these hoops before you like even start your diet? It feels like a lot of work. I think what makes a lot more sense is to get a starting point, a starting estimate, and to then go from there. So get that starting estimate of maintenance calories, either stay at maintenance or adjust a deficit or adjust a surplus, whatever your goal is. Do that, see how your body responds, and then make adjustments from there. I think it's a lot more important to just get started rather than getting everything absolutely perfect before you even do anything to work towards your goals. Next question is, should you track back calories burned from exercise? So today I was obviously tracking my calories burned from exercise because I wanted to show you how each activity in my everyday life contributes towards my total energy expenditure. But on any other day, like, this is not something I'd even pay attention to. I don't pay attention to how many calories I burn during my run. I don't pay attention to how many calories I burn, like just walking around, doing things. Like, it's literally not worth your time. I would not recommend this for most people, and I'd say there's two main reasons why. Just putting down my phone. So the first reason would be that most activity trackers are not even that accurate. Like, even good activity trackers still have their issues and aren't always going to give you the most accurate numbers. The second reason why, and kind of the bigger reason why, is that if you are using a maintenance calorie calculator, whether it's Lifesum, whether it's like something that you randomly found on Google, most of these already take into account your daily activity levels and the number of workouts you're doing per week, right? They've already accounted for that activity. So if you then go and track this activity on top of this, you're gonna be basically double tracking that activity, overestimating how many calories you're burning, and if you're using this as a gauge for how many calories you can eat, then you're gonna end up overeating and potentially slowing down your progress, right? So that's not a good situation. I would not recommend this for most people. It's only going to make your life more difficult. Next question is, what are your thoughts on metabolic damage, and is it a real thing? Okay, so before we jump into this can of worms, metabolic damage describes the irreversible slowdown that happens with your metabolism as a result of prolonged calorie restriction. Okay, so in plain language, it is the idea that your metabolism would permanently slow down as a result of dieting for a really long time. As for my thoughts on this, for starters, I think a more accurate description for this would be metabolic slowdown, not metabolic damage. Metabolic damage sounds so scary and so intense, and I think its effects are often overemphasized. At least that was my perception when I was kind of exiting the bodybuilding world. I competed in bodybuilding for 3 to 4 years. I went to, hello DC, I dieted to low levels of body fat. I spent extended periods of time at a calorie deficit. I did all of the things that would normally contribute to this thing that people call metabolic damage. And I'm not saying that just because I didn't experience it, other people can't. That's not scientific at all, right? But based on the current body of literature and kind of explaining this in terms of what we've talked about in this video, the main ways that metabolic damage seems to work is by decreasing your BMR as well as decreasing your NEAT, right? So BMR, if you remember back to the start of this video, larger humans require more energy to sustain, whereas smaller humans require less energy. That makes enough sense. So as you can imagine, if you are at a calorie deficit for an extended period of time, if you are losing weight, if you are shrinking in size as a human being, you're not going to require as much energy to stay alive. Like you're physically a smaller creature to maintain. So your BMR naturally will decrease. As for meat, this seems to be more affected as you reach those lower levels of body fat. And the reason that this seems to be affected is because as you become leaner, your body becomes more conservative with its energy. And so one of the ways your body becomes more efficient at using its energy is by reducing your subconscious desire to move, right? And that is kind of what triggers meat. Subconscious, spontaneous, unplanned activities. There's honestly so much more we could dig into with the topic of metabolic damage or metabolic slowdown, but for now what I'll do is I will link some of my favorite articles and studies on it in the description box below, and you let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see a more in-depth video on this, maybe talking about my experience with it, the current research behind it, and what you can do to combat it, because I think it's a really cool topic. It's just a bit too big to address in the already very long Q&A portion of this video. Next question is, what do you think about intuitive eating versus tracking your calories? Okay, so if you asked me this question like even 2 years ago, I would have said that those were two completely different things. One, like tracking calories was so far removed from intuitive eating. They were on other sides of the spectrum. Like if you do one, you can't do the other. And I was wrong. I was completely wrong, because these past few months, I've reached a point with flexible dieting and tracking calories and macros where I feel like it's a more intuitive approach. If you noticed in this video, you didn't really see me taking out measuring cups or weighing any of what I was eating, because I feel confident enough now looking at the foods that I normally eat and really just eyeballing portions. And given the way I now feel about food and how easy dieting has been these past few months, I think the ultimate goal of tracking calories and macros should really be to get to a place where you feel confident intuitively eating. Anyways, I'm gonna cut off this Q&A there because I have rambled enough, but I hope you liked learning more about maintenance calories. I hope you liked our little chit chat, chill out tonight. I've been definitely loving the Q&As. And if you found this video helpful, if you want to get started with tracking your calories and macros and building a greater awareness around food, I definitely recommend downloading the LifeSum app. I'm gonna put a link in the description box below. You can download it for free, but if you wanna upgrade to the premium version, I'm gonna put a little coupon code discount thingy down there as well, so that you can do that if you want. All right, thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.